tune it quickly. Don't worry, that's the only joke I have.
Testing, yeah.
Right. I'm doing my project on the historical and modern usage of the didgeridoo, quite an overlooked instrument. Some history first. The didgeridoo is a wind instrument that is approximately 40,000 years old and has been said to be one of the oldest instruments in the world. It was first crafted and played by the indigenous people of Australia, the Aborigines, and has remained the same instrument since. It's just, tree trunk basically. Got a picture of an Aboriginal right here with his didgeridoo. That particular one is a eucalyptus. So in ancient Aboriginal culture, around 40,000 years ago, the world was created by three gods: one who danced, one who played the clapsticks, and one who played the didgeridoo. The three created the world by singing and naming all of the things on earth, hence creating the world. To the Aborigines, this is why the didgeridoo is such a sacred instrument, and it was what led the way for the traditional didgeridoo compositions. I've got a little song for you by a modern composer. This is traditional.
One last thing I like to teach.
So yeah, this is a traditional piece. You have traditional, contemporary. Contemporary is what we just call the modern compositions for didgeridoo. This is traditional. That was a traditional piece. It focuses heavily on sort of tones that the Aborigines used to describe the nature and the animals around them. So you see like a lot of like overtones over the drone notes, like sort of symbolise the movement of the land as they were crossing. So traditional didgeridoo compositions often tell stories about Aboriginal life. They would use the instrument to create sounds that imitated animals, or grunts or sound effects. These would be used in a certain order, as if they were telling a story, without the use of like language, as it wasn't really well established 40,000 years ago. Their main method of communication was through hand signals and their music. Stories included tales of hunting, wars, and were even used to map out landmarks by using the sounds of certain animals and sound effects that were heard at that location. So like an example would be the kookaburra, which is a traditional like Australian bird. I don't know if you've heard it or not. It usually resides in sort of like wetland areas, because Australia isn't just like a heat trap or anything, that actually has quite a lot of tropical weather. they would use certain animals that resided in these locations to say, you know, that's where we want to go next and stuff like that. So the use of animal sounds was very important with the Aborigine people, as they were people of the land and respected nature. Among the many sounds that can be played with the didgeridoo, the most common is the kangaroo, and it's like joey and the kookaburra. I'll try and demonstrate them. So we'll start off with the kangaroo, it's a nice easy one. Imagine like a kangaroo hopping across the land. Then you, of course, you have like the little joeys that follow them, the little baby kangaroos. Like past the hops. And the kookaburra is basically just what they call the laughing bird. It sort of imitates human laughter. I won't try it, I'll just embarrass myself. But you can imagine what it sounds like, you just laugh into it. So, religious and cultural aspects of the didgeridoo. In the indigenous Australian culture, the didgeridoo is used in both open and closed religious ceremonies. Of course, religion was very important to the Aboriginal people. They believed that the three gods created the earth. What this means is that open ceremonies can be attended by everyone, the whole, what they would call their cult or their tribe, and may include tales from great indigenous characters in Aboriginal history, such as sacred clans and mythical gods, while the closed ceremonies were exclusive to only a few selected people and would include secret messages or even personal stories and experiences, tales of love, tales of war, or just like military strategies if they were going at war against another clan. So, the instrument itself, most but not all didgeridoos, or yadakias, they are commonly known in other parts of the world, mostly Asian countries like Japan and like neighbouring coastal countries to Australia. They are constructed from a single tree trunk, and the tree that is most prominent in Australia that is commonly used for didgeridoos is the eucalyptus. Traditional instruments are hollowed out by termites and cut at the base of the tree. These trees can often be hundreds of years old, and an experienced craftsman, like an Aboriginal craftsman, will be able to test the hollowness of the tree and be able to tell if it's ready for harvesting. The Aboriginal people are very protective over nature. If they see a tree that they may want to use as a didgeridoo, but it's not quite hollowed out perfectly, it's not quite a dead tree yet, they'll leave it alone. They respect nature greatly. But this one is a bamboo one. It's quite a simple one, it's the most common one you'll probably find. It's just a single length of bamboo. Cut at the base here, and has a moulded mouthpiece. You can't actually see it, but inside there are like splines and splints. That's what gives like traditional wooden didgeridoos their like warm tone. Is the sound like is like absorbed by all this like wooden mass inside that gets damp over time when we play it. So that's just like a small picture of a eucalyptus didgeridoo. You can basically see it is just a tree trunk. They cut it at the base, and as it stems up, it gets thinner at the top, as it's like a sapling. So there are other types of didgeridoos, because it can basically be anything that's tubular, cylindrical, and is hollow is basically a didgeridoo. I have like a length of PVC pipe that's 8 feet long. You can play it. More contemporary types of didgeridoo are often made from thin like metal, like aluminium and copper. Like I said, I have a length of PVC tubing. It's got a really nice sound for what it is. It's like, because of the length, it's like a really nice low raspy tone. Each different material will give a different texture to the tone. Wood is the most common type, as I mentioned. It's like the most warm and clear texture, and it's easily accessible to most of the indigenous people. I don't think they have the technology to make aluminium, so it's basically the acoustic guitar of didgeridoos. So the didgeridoo works by they use their buzzing their lips into the instrument. buzzing sound resonates the airspace inside the instrument, and when there's oh my god, what is it? No? I think it's not. So, when the air resonates at the natural frequencies, a noticeable sound is produced. Every item on planet Earth has a natural resonant frequency. I can demonstrate it for you. So, due to the length of this one, it has quite a what you call average middle C, I guess. This one's tuned to C. Different lengths of different didgeridoos have different tunings. The shorter ones you have higher up tunings and quite harder to play because you don't have very much airspace to resonate. But I'll show you what I mean when I say you buzz your lips. So you literally just go inside the tube and make a sound. So, that's what's commonly known as the drone tone. So yeah, like I mentioned, the length of the didgeridoo has an impact on the frequency that the instrument will play. Longer instruments produce lower frequencies and short ones produce higher frequencies. The material of the instrument also has an effect on the tonal quality, with wood having irregular curves and uneven inside texture gives a different tone to the smooth finish of PVC or metal. So, like I just demonstrated, the drone sound is associated with the didgeridoo. It is like basically, well, I meant to say note there, but not. It is a single note, but it is made up of many different notes as well. It's like different harmonics. Yeah, you can produce overtones. A technique that is commonly used when playing the didgeridoo is the use of the voice in combination with the drone. I'll demonstrate for you. Basically, you just hum as you play the drone note. It gives a different mesh of the different wavelengths of your voice. That's the normal drone tone. I'll add my voice. So as I just demonstrated, you get a whole new range of tones. You can experiment with it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but as you start off low and you climb up, you'll notice the sound starts to get faster and shorter. That's because as you ascend, this didgeridoo is tuned to C. As you start to hit C in your voice, the notes will clash. That's just the different wavelengths, and when you get to C, they sort of mesh together. So other techniques, a technique that is absolutely necessary for prolonged playing of periods of playing is the circular breathing technique. Any wind or brass section players will be familiar with this technique. You basically need it to play prolonged periods. I'll be able to demonstrate a little bit. You must be able to exhale a reserve of air supply while you inhale atmosphere. So it does take quite a bit of practice. You have to breathe out while you breathe in, which is kind of impossible. But basically means you can play the instrument forever. So I'll try and demonstrate it for you. So that's basically it. You just breathe, you store air in your cheeks, blow it out. As you blow it out, you breathe it through your nose. It does take quite a bit of practice. So now we move on to the modern usage of the didgeridoo. One thing I found quite interesting is it is used to sort of treat sleep apnea, which is where your throat muscles are kind of tight together. It's what mainly makes people snore. It can have serious health issues such as struggling to breathe during unconsciousness when you're asleep. The didgeridoo strengthens these throat muscles and builds strong tissues, which can reduce the amount of snoring by opening up these airwaves. You practice daily, say, it doesn't need to be long, 10 minutes a day, you'll start to notice improvements in your breathing. So, most didgeridoo players outside of Aboriginal Australia are called contemporary players. These are people who play the instrument for the enjoyment and unique sound of the instrument. Some famous people include Rolf Harris, which I'm sure you all know, and Xavier Rudd. There's another player who's called Mitchell Cullen, I may show you a snippet of him later. The didgeridoo has seen popular use in busking, as it is a relatively simple instrument with minimal maintenance. It can be very cheap or even free if you just get a hold of a length of tube. You can see, if you go around Exeter, you see a lot of people play didgeridoo. I know quite a few of the homeless people that play it. I've jammed with them a couple of times. They're very good players. Most contemporary players have a completely different playing style. They play with the purpose of a rhythm and to create pleasing sounds that are in sync with some of the beat. There is also beatbox didgeridoo playing, which is common amongst street performers, as it has a unique and relatable sound that is pleasing to listen to and almost sounds like a form of dance music. I actually kind of think it sounds like dubstep. So I'll play a little piece for you now. So this is contemporary playing. You also notice he's using an aluminium didgeridoo this time. Yeah, that was Joe Schultz. He's quite a famous contemporary player. That was sort of what I mentioned on the didgeridoo beatboxing. You combine the drum beat with the sound of the didgeridoo. It sounds awesome. I'll try and show you another contemporary player now. He's a bit more well known. He's called Mitchell Collins. He's Australian, of course. So this is Mitchell Collins. He won the 2012 Australia's Got Talent. He's a very technical player. He combines multiple instruments in this clip. I'll try and skip ahead to like the interesting bit. What he basically does to enable to play didgeridoo and acoustic guitar together is he tunes his guitar to the tuning of the didgeridoo. In this case, it's open C. So that's a couple of examples of contemporary players. Yes, I have tried to play that. No, I can't do it. Very hard. So to finish up, I'd just like to say throughout my research I found there was a strong presence of didgeridoo playing in today's culture. However, I think that there is a need to preserve the indigenous people of Australia and their culture, as their integrity is in danger of being forgotten. They do not have the equipment to record or keepsake their stories or any of their playing techniques or anything. And if I had more time, I'd be able to show you some more traditional playing techniques. Some of the sounds they can make with a bit of pipe is amazing. So yeah, they don't have the technology to keepsake their stories. It can pass down through thousands of years of storytelling, which is what I find so amazing, that they can communicate and identify these moments of their heritage through the power and memory of music. All this, as I said, all this has been preserved through a wooden tube, basically, that they remember these melodies and these stories that they have been taught from thousands of years ago, and they still practice them today. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please ask. Yes?
Would you say with the whole breathing technique that it could be similar to something like the bagpipes? Because I know that's simultaneous breathing.
Yeah, I was going to mention that it is, the bagpipes is quite a similar instrument overall. It creates a drone note, you play overtones with flutes. Yeah, definitely circular breathing is a sort of a shared thing among all wind instruments, really. So yeah, that.
So apart from, obviously, didgeridoos made from aluminium tubes, what other modern enhancements are there? Like electric didgeridoos or any specific accessories you can buy for them or their sound?
What I've found usually is that people try to keep the traditional didgeridoo, so there's not really many like electronic enhancements for them. As far as it goes as a microphone. There are things you can buy for them. You can buy specific reeds that restrict the amount of airflow, give you different sort of tone qualities. Some kind of sounds like a kazoo. That's quite an interesting noise. Yeah, James, you had a question? I guess I drew inspiration from kind of locally around Exeter, so a lot of homeless people were playing didgeridoos, and to me it kind of like sparked some inspiration really, that they didn't really have anything, but they had the power to create their own music and keep them busy throughout the day. I basically made something from nothing, which I found really inspirational. I talked to a lot of them, they said, you know, it's given me health benefits as well, keeps me sane, keeps me focused on something that I can progress towards. I found that like that's really inspirational since they don't really have much. Yeah, Josh?
One thing I noticed on your didgeridoo is you have a pattern on it. Would you say how long ago, 40,000 years or something, would you say they would paint it as a symbol for the story they're trying to tell, or is it more the tourist thing, trying to sell a didgeridoo, you know, go into like a gift shop?
I was going to mention that actually. The patterns on them are usually unique to that person who's made them, the craftsman. Like, there's different ranks you have. This is just like a generic salamander or sea turtle pattern. But there's usually in traditional culture, they would the one who had the snake on his didgeridoo is sort of like the clan leader. And they would use that to symbolise their ranks, sort of. And like the more intricate patterns would indicate a more higher rank within the clan or the tribe. Today, it's mainly just used for like traditional purposes and to sell something that looks pretty, really. They're not actually necessary. So, yeah.
You mentioned that traditionally the Aborigine music was transmitted through because they have no written culture. It's transmitted sort of orally.
Yeah.
In today's modern contemporary players, is there any form of notation involved, or is it all memory? And can you play the same piece, repeat the same piece over and over again, you know, different times?
What they usually do is they have something similar to what drum players work off of, like beat sheets. I don't know what you call them. Kira, do you know what they're called?
Yeah, rhythm charts.
Yeah, rhythm charts. So they have a specific rhythm, and they'll usually write in the rhythm chart what sound they're making. They usually refer to animal noises. It's just easier, like kookaburra noise here, sort of kangaroo noise here. And it's kind of odd, but most players usually play within a group, so they're able to display, perform what they want other people to play. What I also wanted to mention was you can have different lengths of didgeridoos. They create different notes. You can make chords with them. If you think about pan flutes, they have different lengths as they go up. It's sort of like the same sort of instruction, really. You can play a C note, C chord through like 3 different didgeridoos, you have a root, 3rd, and 5th, and it makes interesting music.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
In the course of your research, in the Aboriginal side of the music, did you find that the continual playing and the dancing that goes with it induces a trance-like quality?
Could you repeat that again? Sorry, I don't really understood.
In the course of your research
Yeah.
into the Aboriginal culture, did you find that the playing of music and the dancing that accompanies it induces a trance-like state?
I guess so. I mean, when I play, I do kind of feel like way more relaxed, and I sort of zone out for about an hour because you do like get involved with it, and it's quite a personal instrument. It really reaches down into you because you're playing it through your vocal cords and your lungs, and it resonates back in. It's quite a weird feeling when you play it, but it's quite relaxing as well. That's why it's often used in meditation and yoga. But, you know, have someone in the background playing it. It's a very spiritual instrument, I want to say. So yeah.
Have you ever danced to it?
Yeah, many times. It's quite fun to actually play and dance at the same time. Any other questions? Yeah, Jared?
So, 40,000 years ago, if any
people Aborigines needed any directions, would they be using the didgeridoo to describe the landscape, the direction they were going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Things?
Yeah, absolutely. They would use specific animals. There's, like I said, I mentioned like 2 animals, kangaroo and kookaburra. There's a million different sounds you can make with it. They would use specific animal noises, and they were like, oh, I know where to go now, because I know where that animal is, because they used to do a lot of hunting and trekking. So, but yeah, it was used as like a really important form of communication, and it's sort of where they, I forgot the name of them, called like the big horns, you know, on top of mountains that people play, like the Himalayas and stuff. Sort of where that kind of came from. That sort of draw inspiration from didgeridoo. You can play over really long distances, and people are like, oh, there's something going on over there, I need to go over there now. So, anything else?
Thank you. A little break, and then carry on, and a little break.